Hi and welcome to the Re-Rhythm channel. My name is Julia, and in this video I will be sharing with you all of the information that you need in order to start meditating successfully. So this may be for you if you've never meditated before in your entire life and you're only just wanting to get into it. And this may also be for you if you've already started meditating, but you're not quite sure if you're doing it right or what the heck is going on in the first place. So let's get right into it. What is the actual point of meditation? Meditation is the practice of the mind. This is important to understand because it is so similar to you going to the gym if you are wanting to exercise your body, right? You're going to the gym to exercise your body in order to begin strengthening your muscles. It's the same thing that you're doing in meditation. It's that practice of the mind where you begin to strengthen the muscle of your concentration, your focus, and also your awareness around yourself. So, what it does when you begin to meditate is it helps you understand how your mind works, your mind uniquely and specifically, right? It helps you listen to your thoughts and realize what is even going on in there, which increases that sense of awareness for you. And then ultimately, what it can do is that it can help you learn how to utilize the mind for good and for your own benefit. And that is because ultimately, when you've gained a lot of awareness around your mind and how it works, and you have kind of gained a sense of control of it, let's put it that way, but that is simply just that being aware of it, then you can actually be able to influence and change your thoughts. Notice that whenever there's a negative thought arising in your everyday life, and you can change it to a positive one, which ultimately will improve your bloody life overall. That's the point. So you will want to begin meditating whenever you feel really stressed, confused, overwhelmed, or whenever your mind is super overactive. Those are the biggest signs for you to desperately start meditating, because meditation will help you overcome all of this. And that is because when you sit down in meditation, you integrate that daily meditation practice, is that your body learns to regulate itself. Your body will naturally learn to regulate the nervous system to move from that state of constant fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system, into the state of rest and digest, the parasympathetic nervous system. And then once you're in that state of rest and digest, which will naturally happen once you withdraw all of your awareness and your attention from the external world and all of that crazy stimuli out there into the internal world, is that it will actually start to realize what is going on inside of here, right? It'll be the perfect place and space for you to process whatever is going on. And once you process it, it is being moved through, and it creates more space for you to take on more stress and be stronger in the times of overwhelm and confusion. Meditation can also possibly help you find clarity. So once you have created all of that space, what actually happens is that all of the clutter and all of the rubbish is gone, and your inner guidance and your inner knowing can begin to arise, providing you with insights or new ideas or new ways of thinking or perspectives, which will push you then into the right direction. Now, with meditation, you can also actually start to manipulate the flow of energy in your body. So, as we know, there is a constant flow of energy in our bodies called life force energy. And via meditation, you can influence if that flow moves upwards, giving you more of an inspiring sort of vibe, or downwards, giving you more of the grounding sensation. There are different forms of meditation, active and passive meditations. Active meditations could be walking meditations even. Active meditations could be you being fully immersed in a hobby where your body and your mind are actually starting to regulate themselves and creating more space because you are more in a state of bliss, What we will be focusing on now is the passive side of meditation, because that is usually a bit more difficult to get into. Whilst both active and passive meditations can manipulate the flow of energy either upwards or downwards, we will be wanting to look at the meditation forms that are grounding. Because what happens most of the time is that when you are feeling quite overactive in the mind, is that there is already too much energy up here, okay? The mind is actually seated out of your body, just slightly above the crown of your head, which most people don't know because it feels so much like the thoughts are actually inside of the head, whereas the mind is actually situated out of your body. So if your mind is feeling overactive or you are feeling scattered, that is because most of your energy is up here and outside of your body. So what you want to do is you want to ground your energy back in your awareness, back into the body in order to counter that. And your thoughts will naturally begin to slow down and ground themselves back. Now, I've already taken a little bit away from the principle of how the mind works in the first place. And this is really important to understand if you want to begin meditating successfully. How the mind works is that, as I mentioned, it is seated outside of the body, and there is a continuous flow of energy throughout the mind, that entity of the mind. So you can just imagine itself, for simplicity purposes, as a little ball situated outside of the crown of your head. And then moving through this little ball is a constant flow of energy. This is the natural state of the mind, and this will never, ever, ever change. And this is perfectly fine. That's just how the mind works. In saying that, there is a constant flow of energy that you will experience in the form of thoughts. Debunking now, finally, that big myth of needing to quiet the mind or still the mind. That is absolutely impossible, because unfortunately, what it would mean that if your mind is absolutely blissfully still, that would mean that you are unfortunately dead. And you wouldn't want that, would you? You would be dead, because that would mean that that flow of energy has stopped completely. Okay? Now, you need to understand that you can influence the flow of energy. So it can either begin to move faster, speed it up, or you can slow it down. So this is where the confusion is happening. During meditation, you can slow down that activity, that flow of energy throughout the mind. You can slow it down quite drastically, where you can actually experience longer phases of absolute stillness. That can happen. However, thoughts will come again, and that is completely normal. Okay? Now, the reason why thoughts will begin to be overactive, why that mental activity may be faster and faster and, too overactive, is because you would have stuffed too much energy into the body via external information, via experiences, via things happening, and you haven't had the time to process them properly. So you're just stuffing that energy that you have received in one way or another, stuffing it down into the body. However, energy can't just sit still, it needs to find an outlet. Your outlet will always be the mind. So the more things you stuff down there, the more your mental activity will actually begin to overact and become faster and faster and faster. And that's when those really fast scattering thoughts happen. Now remember how I've said at the start that one of the best benefits of meditation is that you can create more space in the mind than in the body. And this is what happens when you meditate. So as soon as you sit down, you allow yourself to withdraw from the external stimuli, you turn inwards, you may close down the eyes. Then your body finally has the time to process the information which you have stuffed in there, and it can all come up. You may experience this in the form of sitting down to meditate and the thoughts becoming even louder and even faster and even more overwhelming. And you're like, what the heck is going on? This is not working. I'm out of here. Whereas you're doing absolutely perfectly right. This is where meditation is actually happening for you. All of this stuff is coming up in order to move out, and then it's gone, and you have a white blank page, so to speak, to move on again and to regulate yourself better during times of stress and to gain more strength around stressful experiences. So once all of that rubbish has come up and been processed, then you will experience that sense of inner peace and inner calm. In saying that, what I always remind my students of is that meditation is not about how you feel in the moment, it's about how you feel afterwards when you leave. So when you go to the gym, when you go to Pilates classes, and you're doing that specific exercise that will make your legs burn like hell, do you ever sit there and get up and just leave because you're saying, well, it's burning, I'm not feeling strength right now, what the hell is this? No, you're pushing through it. You keep strengthening the legs, and then afterwards you leave and you're going, oh my God, I can't walk right now. But also you're going, I'm feeling so much better. And the strength will happen over time. And it's the same with the practice of the mind. You will have to keep practicing in order to see the results that you want to see. It won't happen overnight because the more stuff is packed in here, and don't be scared because it won't look like you're sitting down and you will just start crying or whatever. No, your body will naturally do its own thing and process simply by you being in stillness. So you don't have to overthink that. But what will happen is that the more and more you do it, the more and more space you will create, and the more and more capacity for stillness and for staying in the present moment you will create, because there's no more forms of distraction anywhere. So finally, let's get to the steps of how to meditate. You've received now the whole concept and the all around what it's all about and how to understand and this and that. Let's just get into how to actually do it. What I always recommend is to please prepare the mind for meditation just like you would prepare your body for a physical exercise by warming up the body first. You can just as much prepare the mind for the practice of meditation to set yourself up for more success. You prepare the mind for meditation by practicing pranayama exercises, breath work exercises before you meditate. That can be a very simple exercise such as just taking 5 deep breaths. It can be a very effective exercise such as Nadi Shodhana, which is alternate nostril breathing, and you will find that explained in one of my other videos. Nadi Shodhana, you will just move the breath from one nostril and out of the other, and then back into the nostril, out of the other nostril. So you keep moving the air through, or you keep alternating the movement of air through each nostrils. What that does is it calms down the mind quite beautifully and brings you into the present moment, setting you up perfectly for meditation. Once you have prepared the mind a little bit, you've warmed up, then you can move into a meditation practice. The meditation practices that I would strongly recommend for you if you're only just starting out meditating is to choose a practice in which you have something to focus on. It is way easier for the mind to strengthen concentration if you actually have something to focus on. That could be the practice of trataka, which is candle gazing, in which you will stare into a tea light flame for a certain amount of time. That offers you a physical object to focus on. It's very easy for you to continuously bring your focus back onto that object because it is so tangible. The second practice I would recommend is mantra japa, mantra meditation, in which you will continuously repeat a mantra of your choice over and over again out loud or quietly. But what that does again is that it offers you something quite tangible to focus on. So for a certain period of time, 5 to 10 minutes, you focus on a certain mantra such as Om. It can be quite simple as that. And then you keep chanting the mantra Om until you've reached 5 minutes, and then you move on. Another very beautiful exercise to begin with, which I think is like my least favorite out of these three because it is ever so slightly more difficult, and that is breath awareness or body awareness meditation. During both of these forms of meditations, you're using the object of the breath or the object of the body to focus on. The reason why it's my least favorite one to recommend out of these, it's because it's just ever so slightly less tangible. So it can be a little bit more challenging for the mind to focus on and to stay with that focus on that object. Whichever meditation practice you're choosing, and I will upload the videos for all of them accordingly in the Rhythm channel, so keep your eyes out on that. Whatever practice you're choosing, throughout all of these, all you need to do is focus on that specific thing that you've chosen. It can be the object, a candle, it can be the mantra, it can be the breath or the body. You choose that object, and then you stay with your whole focus on that object. Whenever you notice your mind wandering, that's totally fine. Remember, now that's the natural state of the mind. You just bring it right back again to the object you're focusing on. And that's all you have to do. There is no judgment, there is no pressure, there is no doing wrong, there is no failing once the thoughts have wandered. That is the practice. Thoughts wandering, bringing it right back to the focus of attention. And then it will be another second, another 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds if you're already super enlightened Buddha. And then you can bring your awareness back to the focus, the object, right? It's as simple as that. A third step for beginning to meditating is to keep practicing. Just like any other practice, you will reap the benefits, you will notice the differences over time. And the only thing that you can do wrong really in meditation is to stop and not do it altogether, because that's also not getting you to where you want to get to, right? A state of more inner peace, a state of more calm, and maybe even a state of having such a good awareness and understanding of your mind so that you can begin to influence it and make it work for you rather than against you. I have 2 more little extra tips for you before we wrap this up, and that is all around when and where to meditate. For these 2 tips, as well as for all of the other recommendations that I've shared in this video, is that, as always, the biggest concept of Rhythm is to remember your individuality. Remember to listen to your own needs. Remember to discern, to inquire how things work for you, and then to choose them. So choose whatever works for you out of what I've shared, and let go of everything that doesn't work for you because it's not meant for you, okay? Give yourself the permission to only take on what works for you and to forget about all of the rest. In saying that, when to meditate, according to the science of Ayurveda, the very traditional science of Ayurveda, it is recommended to meditate first thing after you get up in the morning. And that is because your mind, the activity of your mind, is quite slow already. You are already on that frequency of getting into the meditative state more easily. However, if it works better for you, you can meditate in the evening after your day. Just note that your mind will be more busy because it has taken on so many stimuli over the day. Either way, it's up to you to start practicing, to try out both of the options or any of the options. Try out practicing midday and then see what works best for you, and then continue that practice. In terms of where to meditate, there's a very, very beautiful concept, and that is that if you continuously practice something of high vibration, such as a spiritual practice, yoga, meditation, any sort of high vibrational practice that doesn't include sleeping, eating, any of the normal human survival things we do, drinking, eating, sleeping, all of that, creating a space where you only practice these high vibrational practices will eventually begin to create a channel so that as soon as you sit back down in your little corner of the room in which you only ever meditate, you will immediately get into a more meditative state right away, simply because you have created that channel. And the more you keep practicing in your little space and area, the more this channel will actually begin to expand, and it will actually begin to take on the room. You will notice that when you get into the room, that you will automatically just relax a little bit and let go. It's really cool. And I promise you that that works. I have experienced it over and over again. That is the reason why when I go to the ashram that I always go to, is that, or a Hinduist temple, is that once I step through that gate, it immediately feels like there is 10 kilos lifted off of my weight, as if like a cloud has lifted, a rainy cloud has lifted, just because they continuously practice their high vibrational practices, chanting, yoga, meditation in the same space. And it has begun to take on their whole little bubble of location. Isn't that beautiful? Those are just my 2 extra tips. Now, please, please, please let me know if you have any further questions around this topic. I would love to answer them for you down below in the comments, or reach out to me directly via ADM on Instagram. The handle is at re_rhythm. You'll find that attached in the description as well. I'd love to hear about your experiences and how the meditation works for you. And I can't wait to see you in the next video. Thank you.